As we earlier agreed that there are only two interests in land, and that is legal interest and equitable interest. In this video, we are going to discuss the circumstances under which equitable interest has been created into land. We are going to appreciate those different circumstances. I'm going to give you scenarios, and I will give you pointers of cases that you need to read to appreciate each one of these concepts. So that is what we shall be discussing in this video, the different circumstances under which equitable interest is created into land. We thank you for watching Law School Made Easy at Law School Made Easy 256. Thank you for always staying on these channels. So we ask you to always give us a like, a thumbs up. Make sure you have subscribed to this channel. Make sure you leave a comment on what you feel you want us to improve, to teach, to tell you about, to put up the comments, the questions, all those things that you wish we can do, because we feel we need to always improve on our services as we serve you. So today we want to go to equitable interest in land, and we want to say how is this created in land. First and foremost, we want to remind ourselves of what legal interest is. This is when the interest held in land has been registered. That is legal. But again, the equitable interest is when the interest in land is not yet registered. And we agreed previously that Section 59 provides that, of the RTA, provides that certificate shall be conclusive evidence for ownership of land. And then also know that Section 54 of the RTA still provides that an instrument is not effectual until when it has been registered. So we shall look at, especially Section 54 will be our guiding principle or guiding section when we are discussing how equitable interest has been created in land. Allow me start by saying there is what we call unregistered lease or unlicensed lease. Okay, now we say unregistered lease or unlicensed lease. What do we mean by this? I want to express this using a scenario or a case. There is a case of Figueredo versus Mowing Hotel. Figueredo versus Mowing Hotel. Now, in this case, the plaintiff, who is now Figueredo, came and asked Mowing Hotel to rent him space. So he was given space and he was supposed to pay some amount of money, of course, as rent. So when he was staying there, he left when there was some money which is being demanded from him. So when he left, Mowing Hotel took the initiative to demand for their money from him. So because he learned that the lease that those houses were on was not registered, so this man refused to pay, citing that even your lease is not registered. In law, you cannot come and tell me that that I can pay for something which is registered, which is not registered. So when he said that, I want to check something here briefly. Yeah, it is Mowing Hotel. It is Mowing Hotel. Now, Mowing is MOORINGS. Now, this man is citing that the lease is not registered, and I'm not going to be able to pay you the money that I owe you. So Figueredo takes them to court, saying that they are not even registered and they are asking for money. Now, court held in favor of the defendant, saying that, yes, Section 54 clearly provides that an instrument is not effectual until registered. We agree it is not registered, but the section does not say that any transaction with unregistered license or lease is illegal. The section does not refuse other legal efficacy from taking place. You understand? So the lease might be unregistered, but it doesn't stop us from operating. The section only says that instrument is not effectual until registration. Yes, we know it is not effectual until registration. So we shall need to register it to be effectual. But that same section of the RTA 54 does not provide that do not transact, do not enter into any business. Okay? So basing on that, because the section is not exact, like is not elaborate on what it wants. Okay? So that is why we are saying that instrument is only not effectual until registered, but it doesn't bar us from transacting, from making business. In the first place, equity, remember, equitable interest is created by justice and fairness. You have come to somebody's house, okay? You have come to somebody's house, you are renting it, but because you know their lease is not registered, you now want to steal, you want to run away. Now, law does not accept that. Okay? He who comes to equity must come with clean hands. It's a maxim in equity. Okay? So, court ruled that he was liable to pay even when the lease was not registered. The act, the RTA, has not refused us from making any other business because the lease is not registered. Okay. So so meaning that unregistered lease creates an equitable interest in land. Much as it is not registered, we know it will be effective until it is registered. But the fact that somebody has used it, you must, an equitable interest in land has now been created in land. That is one way how equitable interest can be created in land. The second one is execution of the purchase agreement. Execution, is it? Execution of the purchase agreement. Now, yes, execution of the purchase agreement. Now, when the word is execution of the purchase agreement, okay. Now, when I come and buy your land, we have entered a contract between you and me, okay? The section 54 says that instrument is not effectual until when that instrument has been registered, okay? But it does not refuse me from operating, from entering into contracts. We have freedom of contract. So execution of the purchase agreement means that I come to you, I buy land, okay? I buy land from you. Of course, we have not yet registered. So the moment I buy that land, okay? And then I can begin to do whatever I want on land on agreement with you. So by doing that, an equitable interest has been created. You can't say that you just can't say that there's no registration. Yes, we have not registered. But that section 64 does not refuse us from contracting, from carrying out different contracts. It's freedom of contracting. You have a freedom to contract with anyone that you feel free with. So we have contracted, and now I come to execute the purchase agreement. You have sold to me. Now I begin, maybe I take possession, which we shall see later. I begin to use the land. I am executing the purchase agreement. Okay? The moment I begin to execute that purchase agreement we have signed between you and me, it means that interest in the land has been created, and that interest is what we call equitable interest. Execution of the purchase agreement. Okay? That is another way how equitable interest can be created when you come to execute the purchase agreement. Because you have sold, remember we have freedom of contracting. So you have sold to me, I begin to execute. I come, I survey, I begin to want to start using my land. I am executing because you sold to me. Land exchanged hands the moment you sold to me. Much as we have not yet registered it to become legal interest, I have, at equity, I have interest in land. Justice and fairness has helped me to create interest in this particular type of land. There is a case there, I'll urge you to read. There is a case of Chan versus Crescendo. Chan, C-H-A-N, versus Crescendo. I'm interested in the holding of the judges. So read the holding of the judges in Chan versus Crescendo. Let's now cross to part performance of purchase agreement. Part performance of the purchase agreement creates an equitable interest in land. When you partly perform on the purchase agreement, I will take an example. You agree to sell me a particular parcel of land, and that land, the one you want to sell to me, is 10 million. Okay? That is the purchase agreement, is 10 million. You take this particular land, and then I pay, let's say for example, I pay 5 million. Part performance of the purchase agreement definitely creates an equitable interest in land. We can even go ahead, you and me, and we agree, and we say that let us now, you can even come and take possession where I'm going next. Okay? So part performance of the purchase agreement creates an equitable interest in land. So if you go in your villages where you stay and you buy land, you pay part of the money. You have vividly told the person you have bought from the land that I now hold an interest in this land. That is why they cannot just go and sell. And of recent, there is a case, I can't recall, a Court of Appeal judgment that came up and is saying that the moment you have an interest in land or is created by buying or purchase agreement, okay, and you lodge a caveat, it should be Central Bank versus something, and you hold a caveat, that caveat will be valid until forever, until when the issue has been sorted. So you see, part performance alone will create an interest in land. Part performance of the purchase agreement. So I've only paid half of the money, but now I have interest in that land. You just can't take away that land from me. I now own that land partly. So the case there is Kateri No, let me read it. There's a case of Katerikwa versus Katerimu. That name disturbed me a lot. John Katerikwa versus Katerimu. That is Lucas Casca's case. I urge everyone to read that case. Okay? So, before you even transfer that land to anyone else, or you want to sell that land to somebody else, the person with the contract holds that land in equitable. There is an equitable interest you cannot underlook. Somebody came, gave you part of their money, they now have an interest in that land. And now the Court of Appeal has passed a judgment saying that when that person lodges a caveat, that caveat will be there forever until when the issue has been sorted. Because there was an interest which was created in that land the moment you accepted part performance of the purchase agreement. Okay? Then, another one is taking possession of the purchased land. Sorry, taking possession by the purchaser. Taking possession by the purchaser. What are we saying here? That when the purchaser takes possession of the land, he has created an interest which we call equitable interest in that land. The moment you sell, and then you even allow them to take possession of that land, an interest has been created. You can no longer just come and send them away. An equitable interest has been created the moment you allowed this man to take possession in the said property. Okay? Land has exchanged hands. When you take possession of the said land as a purchaser because you bought, that land has exchanged hands. Or an interest has been created in that land. There is a case there. I will give you these cases. Look at that case of Didas Kamugisha versus John Jagenda. Didas Kamugisha versus John Jagenda. Okay? And look at that judgment of Justice Mugenyi, Monica Mugenyi. Okay? So that is what we mean by taking possession of the said of land by the purchaser. The moment they take possession, you have created an interest. The moment you allow the purchaser to come and take possession, an equitable interest has been created. That person now has an interest in that land. Because you sold, remember we are saying the purchaser, you sold to this person and he has now taken possession of the land, and equitable interest has been created. I know by the time we finish this series, you begin to appreciate advance possessor, tenants by occupancy, all those things. They will now begin to make a lot of sense. Taking possession, they will make a lot of sense. Let's cross to another one, which is tenants by occupancy. This one I've already discussed. A full video about tenants by occupants. But I will tell you what, remember we said that lawful occupants and bona fide occupants, they are those people who come, okay? They stay on the land for a period of 12 years, uninterrupted. They have created an equitable interest in land. They came with the permission of the proprietor, developed the land, utilized it, tenants by occupancy. Those people have created an equitable interest in land. If the owner invites them, they utilize the land, they stay on the land for a given period, they have created an equitable interest in the land. You just can't come and send them away. That is why eventually they are allowing them to go and apply for certificate of ownership. Because they created an interest by coming unchallenged, staying there for 12 years. So when we say tenants by occupancy, I'm not going to, we are discussing the lawful and the bona fide. Look at the video, how I did, there's a video, full video on lawful and bona fide. You want to go into that one. But still, they create equitable interest. Let's go on the last two that we want. The family property. Okay? Family, how is it called? Yes, family property. There is an equitable interest which is created in family property. We have a full video about family land. So, there is an equitable interest which is created under a family property. I'll give an example. If you go to buy land and this man is selling you land, you don't know whether they are married or not married. You have to ask and find out. The person selling you land, is this person married? Okay? Is he married? That is very important. If he's married, is there the consent of the other parties? Because by virtue of being married, even if he bought this land, the other spouse, for example, has an equitable interest in that land. You just can't come and take it away from them without their consent. Of course, we are going to able to discuss this in the video family land and the sort. So, family property, there is an equitable interest that every family member has on that land. You just can't come and take away the land. Just like that, you can't. So family property creates an equitable interest to all the members who are entitled. The question is, what is a family? Which I'm going to expound on when I'm discussing family land in our next, I think, video. Okay? Then lastly, how equitable interest is created is the shares of the undistributed shares of the beneficiaries. It is called distributed beneficiaries of the undistributed estate. Beneficiaries of the distributed estate. That whether the person dies testate or intestate, the beneficiaries of that estate create an equitable interest. Even before division, but the beneficiaries of undistributed estate create an equitable interest. That the moment we have an estate and beneficiaries there, you just can't come and take that land. There is an equitable interest which also has been created until when you give out this property. It is clear here. Look at that case of Anacho, Aruna Musa versus Walib Noah. Okay? Whether tested or intestate, his or her beneficiaries are entitled to share such property as the law provides. However, such estate must have a lawful appetitive sweat and constitute each beneficiary claim an equitable interest in the estate pending distribution. It's what I'm saying. That before the distribution, each beneficiary has an equitable interest, share in that estate. Of course, when you discuss family law too, you look at the testate, intestate, and you know all those distributions which are in there. But for us, we are saying, whether somebody has died testate or intestate, we are saying and agreeing that those people have a share and they have created equitable share before the shares has been given out. There's an equitable share which has been created. So those are the ways how equitable interest is created in land. We have said unregistered license, lease. We have said execution of the purchase agreement, part performance of the purchase agreement, taking possession by the purchaser. We have said the tenants by occupancy, family property, and we have finally said the beneficiaries of undistributed estate. Until next time, subscribe, share, like our videos.